Hey, what's up guys? This is Prathamesh Patil. Today, as you can see, I have been working on the open test bench since few days. So today I am going to be showing a kind of basic guide for liquid cooling system, the custom liquid cooling system. So I have only used to cool the CPU. So the only component going to be cooling is the CPU, that's it. For now at least. Now I have the GPU water block as well for my 5970, which I may do it in future. But basically let's look at the custom water cooling loop components which I have used in over here. So let's start from the reservoir. The reservoir which I am using is the Swiftex MC-Res micro reservoir, which is very tiny. So this reservoir is priming the D5 Vario pump. Guys, now I have already apologized in the last video. Don't mind if the train passes by. Let's focus on the pump over here. This is the Swiftex MCP655 pump, which is the D5 Vario. Now I know this is a rebrand built by Liang. So the Liang actually builds the D5 pump, D5 and D5 Vario pumps, which is actually rebranded by Swiftech in their name. So that's what they call it as MCP655. Now I have the screwdriver in my hand to show you actually how we can vary the speed of the pump. So there's an arrow head over here, so I have kept the speed on 5. You could turn down the speed as per your wish, as per the flow rate you want. Now the blender inside spins at 4800 rpm on the max. Now the statics about this, actually the specifications, excuse me, this is a D5 pump which operates at 12 volts and maximum of 24 volts. So the operating voltage is 24 volts, the max. Consumes 2 ampere current, so the total would be like 24, say around about 37 watts. That's the maximum rating which I can read over here. Yeah, so that's there. So let's move ahead. Now guys, you might be wondering why I have used this fan, or you might ask why this fan is over here. Most guys already out there know that whenever the motherboard is inside the case, so it has the airflow inside the case to look after the heat which is generated by the heat sinks over the MOSFET and the North Bridge area. So whenever we keep an open test rig, we actually keep this fan to blow the heat away from the heat sink, so that the temperatures are maintained. So let's take this fan out first. So here, as you can see, this is the Supreme HF, the water block, CPU water block from EK. Now this water block actually was initially fitted with the stock Intel LGA 775, I guess, or it was the 1155. Never mind, you could replace it with the AMD ones if you are using the AMD CPU. So there are star screws behind, which I cannot show you now because the water block is on. So you could pretty much take those out and you could fit in whatever LGA 775, LGA 2011, or the AMD backplate. Sorry, not the backplate, actually it's the bracket which actually fits to the backplate. So that's the CPU water block. Now moving ahead, this goes to the radiator. This is the EK's XTX 360 radiator, which is 65 mil radiator, so 65 mm thick, and on that I'm using the Scythe GT, AP30s, which is actually spinning at 4,250 rpm, but now I have used a fan controller from NZXT. That's the NZXT Sentry mesh with which you could control the speed of those fans. Now I want to show you at what speeds actually those fans can run at a very high speed. That's, you might be hearing it, that's too loud, I know. So rather I would turn down the speeds when I'm not actually benching and all. So just to show you at the highest RPM what kind of noise they make. They make for around about 44 decibels of noise. Actually that's what is stated on those fans. So this is a good look at the fan. You could have it look at it here. So these are side GT-AP30s, excuse me. So this operates at 12 volts and consumes 0.56 amperes of current. So that would be like something around about roughly 6 watts, I guess. So that's the maximum consumption of the power. Now you might notice here, this is actually the 3-pin which I have crimped into. So this is actually coming in the Molex version, which I have crimped it to 3 pins to use the fan controller, the DC fan controller. So I have actually hooked all these 3 fans to a single connector and then given it to a single channel of the NZXT Sentry mix. It's the Sentry mesh, I guess. Yeah, it's the Sentry mesh. Sorry. So the NZXT Sentry mesh have 30 watts of maximum power output for each channel. So 6 3s are 18. So the 18 watts could be easily pumped in by using this single channel. So I'm gonna spin those fans down, not making a lot of noise. So after that, now let's discuss something about the radiator. The radiator actually has a drain port from where you could drain your loop, and also something which I forgot to mention about the radiator, it is made up of the brass chamber which has copper fins over it. So copper is the best possible conductor which is readily available, which is coated black so that they don't get corroded. So they are coated with the black color, and those copper fins conduct good amount of heat, which are actually the heat which is actually collected by those fins is dissipated by those side GT AP30s, which spins at very high RPM and has a very high static pressure. As I mentioned last time, it's 9.x mm H2O. So that's a really lot of pressure. But that static pressure is actually when they spin at the maximum RPM. Now I know the train has passed. I won't be keeping you apologizing every time, so I'm sorry about that again. Anyways, let's move on here. Excuse me, move on to the reservoir again. So the cold water which is actually cooled, the hot water actually which is cooled by the radiator, is pumped back into the reservoir again. So that's actually the functioning of the loop. So you might be wondering now what this actually helps. So that I'm gonna cover in the performance charts. So before that, I would like to show you few things over here. So this is the tubing which I'm using. This is the Primoflex LRT. Now bear in mind guys, this is not the plasticizer version, non-plasticizer version. So these are the old Primoflex LRTs. So that's how you can see a difference between these two tubings. This one has a bit of plasticizer inside. Now I did not get so much of time to clean up those plasticizer and those stuff, so sorry about that guys. Anyways, this tubing which I'm using is the half-inch tubing, meaning the internal diameter is half-inch and the outer diameter is 3/4 inch. So yeah, that's that. The fittings which I'm using, these are the EK's nickel fittings, which is half-inch barbs. So over that I'm using a Coolant's hose clamp. So what you actually do is, now these are the G-quarter fitting, which goes into your standard G-quarter threads. So after putting that fitting and making it sure, so yeah, in order to avoid leaks, obviously there is an O-ring which they already provide. So that's there. Now suppose if you wanna fit this fitting over a G-quarter thread, you'll just fix it. Put the clamp over the pipe. These clamps are too tight. So put the tubing over the barb and move on this on the tubing. So it secures it and it makes sure that there are no leaks. So this is actually the how you put on the tubing onto the barb. So that's that. So now guys, a little bit about the open test bench. So guys, while setting up any open test bench or a ghetto test bench you might be seeing over here, because this is not a standard test bench. I don't have any test chassis or something like that. So what I have done is used a shockproof, that is insulator material below the motherboard, so that the points don't get short and boom 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 blast and everything. It doesn't go actually boom boom, but just see, your components might die. So I'd better off using standard components and not get into the ghetto stuff much. This is actually to demonstrate you something like that. So that's it. Now you might be wondering, what's this? This actually I have used for the GPU support over the chipset, so that it doesn't break the PCI Express slot, because this GPU is too heavy. Not actually the GPU, the air cooler, or the stock air cooler you must say. This is the reference design. So it's too heavy, and you know, in the chassis you have, even on the standard test bench, you have the brace over here, so that you could fix it to that and just forget about that, so that your PCI Express slot doesn't get break or something like that. So that's there. Moving on to here, this is the hard drive cage. Now also inside the case, you always kind of point a fan towards the hard drives while using it inside the case. You actually have the fan pointed towards that, excuse me. So while doing something like this, you need a fan over here. So I've used it. Same goes to the fans over the ramps. So that's pretty much it for the open test bench. Now let's move on to the performance charts. So guys, we are back with the performance charts. So let's start up. I have put in comparison to this custom liquid cooling loop, the NSD 14, Cooler Masters V8 GTS. These are two air coolers. The Sidon 240M, which is all-in-one liquid cooling unit, which should actually satisfy most of your needs. So the Side GT AP30s were also installed on the Sidon 240M, and also the comparison with that, and the custom liquid cooling loop. So these are put against each other head to head. So let's start up with the 4.2 gigahertz test. Now these are the standard tests, as you know, which I always do: 4.2 gigahertz, 4.5 gigahertz, 4.7 gigahertz, at 1.25 volts, at 1.3375 volts, and 1.368 volts respectively. And this is actually the FX8150, as you already know. Then these are the results actually collected after running OCCT for about half an hour. So let's move on with the results. Oh, do I have to apologize every time for this train? I'm sorry again. So the D14 was at 51 degrees Celsius at 4.2 gigahertz. Similarly, the V8 GTS 54, Sidon 240M 49, Sidon 240M with side GT AP30s 4250 RPM is 46 degrees Celsius. Custom liquid cooling loop is 46 degrees Celsius. Now I'm not gonna read each and every test for you. You could pause the camera. I'm sorry. You could pause the video anytime and you could have a look at the results. So, but basically what you would see is, as the overclocks go higher and higher, the custom liquid cooling loop proves better. Now discard the air cooling results for just a minute. So the Sidon 240M, even discard the Sidon 240M for a minute. Just look at the bottom two results, the side GT AP30s at 4250 RPM, which were fitted on Sidon 240M, and the custom liquid cooling loop. Now bear in mind, for the custom liquid cooling loop, I was also running the side GT AP30s at the highest speed, and the results were obviously collected at 22 degrees Celsius ambience. So these are the load temps. Idle temps doesn't mean much, so I'm not gonna show those temperatures to you. So yeah, let's have a look at the custom liquid cooling results. This is 46, 46, 55, 54 and 61, 59 as compared to the Sidon 240M. So what we could see again is, on the higher overclocks, the custom liquid cooling loop pulls out ahead as compared to the Sidon 240M with side GT AP30s running at 4250 RPMs. So what we could say is, the custom liquid cooling loop would actually benefit you at the higher overclocks, rather than saying it could help you every time. No, it's not gonna help, because there are physical limitations. So the flow rate and much other stuffs, which I will be saying it later on. Oh, why not, let's just finish it now. So the dedicated pump Swiftech MCP655 or the D5 Vario pump has a higher flow rate. So the flow rate, the faster the heat will be dissipated. Actually the water will be carried up to the radiator as fast as it could, so faster the flow rate, maximum will be the heat dissipation. So let's move ahead and discuss something related to the radiator itself. So the radiator we saw in the Sidon 240M had much higher fin density than the EK-XTX. So the EK-XTX has 8 fins per inch, whereas Sidon 240M radiator had 20 fins per inch. So that was the moderate fin density radiator, and this one is the lower fin density radiator. So now bear in mind guys, for using the lower fin density radiator, you could also use the low RPM fans with a bit of low static pressure, you could say, because the obstruction is minimal, so that the fans could pump in more air or pull more air out, which I usually do. I do the pull configuration, not the push, because it's easy while cleaning up the radiator surface, which is as usual coated by the dust, because we have a lot of dust in our area. So we are famous for dust. Yay. Just kidding. So that's it for the radiator. Now larger the radiator, better will be the heat dissipation. You already might be knowing. Also depend on the number of passes which the brass chamber has, or rather I should say the brass pipes inside the radiator, which carry away the not exactly carry, the let the water pass inside it, and accordingly the heat will be dissipated onto the fins and passed onto the fins and dissipated by the fans. So that's it for the radiator. But basically what I mean to say is, using custom liquid cooling loop actually costs you more but has more benefit. But to be fair, if you are going to be cooling only the CPU, I would say just go for the AIO, that is all-in-one liquid cooling unit. Sidon 240M is good. There are many out there, but I haven't tested them yet, so don't know the performance as opposed to what it should compare to the Sidon 240M. But this custom liquid cooling loop should only be used in your rig if you are kind of playing every time and just testing and all those stuff. But for 24/7 use, if you are a gamer, if you are going to only cool the CPU, the AIO is more than sufficient. That would really last you, that should last you very long. So yeah, the radiator should be at least a 240 or higher. A 140 or 120 should not be proving as much as good as the dual radiators, because there's less surface area to dissipate heat. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the radiator side. Guys, I apologize because my camera's battery drained out, so here I am again. So we were discussing about the liquid cooling loop, whether it is worth the money. So my point is being pretty much clear to you, because we have to import the liquid cooling loops. We don't get it over here. We only get the AIOs, which is actually good if you are an average or even a hardcore gamer. The AIOs should be sufficient for you. So that's the real reason why I did this video, to tell you whether the custom liquid cooling loops are really worth the money. Because if we import it, so we'll have to pay the customs and duties and shipping charge and whatnot. We do have to pay a lot of money, so that's not actually worth the money. But it performs good. We cannot change the fact that it performs really the best, but it's like, how can I put it in words now? You guys must have already understood about it. So go for the custom liquid cooling loops for the extreme performance. And probably if you are going to make everything on the water, like you're gonna put your GPUs, no matter if you have done an SLI or Crossfire, in which you are going to put both of your GPUs underwater plus your CPU and all, that's the point where you need the liquid cooling loops. So in near future I'm going to put my GPU on water and show you, like, really there are drastic changes in the temperatures as compared to the stock air cooler on the GPUs, because the surface area is totally limited. That's why the custom PCBs come out and the custom coolers come out, so that they could minimize the heat which is generated, or rather I must say they could dissipate the heat as fast as they could. So let's face it, guys, custom liquid cooling loops are not worth for the money, at least in India, because we don't get it over here. So now I will probably shut my mouth and show you the look at the test bench, the good look at the test bench for the last time, and I'll end the video there. So guys, this is the closer look at the test bench, the open test bench, and hopefully you guys must have looked at it carefully. You might pause the video whenever you want. I will do such good projects in future and upload the videos, make the reviews. Now don't forget to click the link underneath, which I'm gonna put now, and have a look at some photos and pictures of the rig, or I must say the open test bench. So that's it for today. Now I'm gonna leave you guys here. So this is Prathamesh Patil signing off. Out.